Hi, I'm Johnny Smith, host of the Inquisitive Minds podcast. Join me while we interview all manner of interesting people from all walks of life. Some conspiracy, some cryptozoology, and just some things that are just plain interesting. Every week, I'll have someone with me who is an expert in their specific field.
This is the Inquisitive Minds podcast.
Hey, thank you all for tuning in and welcome to the Inquisitive Minds podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Smith. I'm a stand-up comedian based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. More importantly, just a curious guy with a thirst for truth and a healthy distrust of the government. With me today, a gentleman who has his PhD in psychology and parapsychology, published articles in Scientific American, and is co-author of a book entitled Shared Universe. None of that's actually true, but let's find out what is. Welcome with me today, Vinny Palatucci.
Hey, guys. I was expecting you to introduce me as Peter Venkman there.
Peter Venkman.
Leading with that parapsychology thing.
I borrowed from that.
I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Tell the people a little bit about yourself, Vinny.
I, too, will fly the generic comedian moniker. Not much of one now, obviously. But yeah, I ever since MK Ultra, that shit was leaked.
Okay.
I refuse to not give even the most outlandish things a thorough once-over.
Yeah, they're pretty wild. And they play a bit of a part in this story. But I don't want to give too much away. I actually kind of think they may be honest about a few things here.
Who's that?
The government.
Yeah, well, yeah, you have to leave some truth in there to...
Well, I tell you what, this is the pilot episode, and today we're talking about some potentially bad pilots. That's right. We're talking about the Roswell UFO incident, better known as the Roswell incident. Now, Vinny, do you know much about Roswell?
Just what's been made popular very recently by the Bob Lazar documentary on Netflix, but that's really what reinvigorated my interest in this topic.
Well, as the story goes, in early July of 1947, a flying saucer crashed on a ranch in south central New Mexico. You know, that's basically the accepted conspiracy theory. Honestly, dates for this are very hard to pin down doing this research, but what we can confirm is that on July 8th, 1947, the Roswell Daily Record published a headline that read, RAAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region. So that was the headline of the paper. Yeah. Since they say Roswell region, Vinny, can you tell me what town it was actually closer to?
God, I know 3 towns in Nevada: Las Vegas, Reno, and
well, we're talking about New Mexico.
Oh shit, yeah.
The town it was closer to was called Corona. See,
interesting.
We're relevant here on the podcast.
Bring it all full circle.
Yeah, we're bringing it all back. It was actually reported in Roswell because they were big and fancy enough to actually have a police station. Yeah.
Interesting.
So
to drive a bit to get to the first PD station, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it was about, I want to say 50 to 60 miles away from the actual crash site.
Yikes. And they were dragging this giant silver monstrosity?
Well, no, they didn't take parts there quite immediately.
So they just were the police department on scene?
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Now, before I get too ahead of myself, I want to explain a few things. You know, RAAF stands for the Roswell Army Airfield. It opened in 1941. It was a flying school. It also, for a time, was a POW camp that held mostly German and Italian prisoners. And it played a key role in our nuclear defense at the time. In 1948, it was renamed to the Walker Air Force Base. And that'll come into play a little bit later. And Roswell, New Mexico, it wasn't a memorable town. You know, honestly, if it wasn't for the alleged alien crash, you probably wouldn't even know about it today. The only thing they had going for them was they were a couple of miles away from RAAF. Like, that was literally their only thing they had. And I want to talk about UFO sightings a little bit as well.
Okay.
First off, Vinny, you ever see a UFO?
unidentified flying object, yes.
Yes.
I don't know what I saw. It was a number of years ago on a drive from here to Florida, like a family trip. And I saw something out over the water as we were like driving into Florida.
Okay.
But like it could have very well been a helicopter or plane. But I just remember staring at it for a number of miles as it just kind of hung out there, and it looked like it was just like a silver object, like an orb.
Well, there's a quote from a ufologist that said, "All UFOs are not aliens, but all aliens are UFOs."
Yeah.
Just because we can't identify it doesn't mean it's an alien.
Yeah. That's what I love. Anytime like you see a title for UFOs,
Yeah.
like you gotta go check. It's like, okay, what did the guy who said UFO, did he mean alien or did he mean? I just don't know what I saw.
It's like clickbait.
Yeah.
UFO. Oh, what is that? But UFO sightings, they were nothing new in 1947. They'd been around for a while. The first reported UFO sighting or sightings happened in late 1896 and early of 1897.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they were reported as mystery airships or phantom airships. They were in California. That was the first earliest reported UFO I could find.
Have you heard the it's kind of outlandish, but the theory that what's reported in the Bible was actually alien encounters?
I've heard that theory. The Bible is open to quite a bit of interpretation.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it could have been aliens. I didn't write the Bible. It could have been science fiction for all I know.
Yeah, right.
And honestly, in 1947, that wasn't even the first reported UFO sighting that year. On June 24th, 1947, pilot Kenneth Arnold reported seeing UFOs on a flight over the state of Washington. That incident is actually where the term flying saucers was coined. And over the next few weeks, several hundred UFOs were reported. And I think the end year total ended up being 853 cases of UFO sightings.
Damn.
Yeah. But the story goes, in early July of 1947, again, very hard to pin down exact dates. Some sources say the 4th, some say the 8th, some say the 7th, some even say the 14th, which baffles me because the headline was on the 8th.
Yeah.
So we know it was at least before the 8th.
Yeah, how do you go past that date?
But early July 1947, local rancher Mac Brazel and his neighbor Will Proctor discovered a strange debris while checking on livestock. They were farmers, simple folk. And I want to make a point that Mac Brazel, he lived in a house with no electricity, no running water, and his only constant contact from the outside world was a once-a-month newspaper. So I want to put that out there because I find it hard to believe that he was swept up in the UFO craze. He just didn't have the access to the information.
There's something to be said about isolationism, though.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it can be a good life if that's what you're into.
Well, I just mean it does a number on the brain if you separate yourself from humanity too long.
Honestly, I get where you're coming from, but he did have a neighbor, that went with him. And when there's a difference between being isolated and being isolated with your animals. Because, people treat animals like they're like people.
Oh, Tom Hanks had a volleyball, right?
Yeah. Tom Hanks had a volleyball. He had a sheep.
Good enough.
It works like that. Now, I want to talk about some of the items that they supposedly found.
Okay.
Now, just some simple things. There was some tape, some wooden sticks, some rubber strips. But here's where it gets odd. They say they found thin I-beams with unfamiliar symbols on them. Some sources say alien writing. I feel like that's more sensationalized. Because if you gave me a small I-beam that had a Russian on it, it's going to be a strange symbol to me.
I was going to say, what year was that?
Yeah,
Farmers,
47.
they barely know English.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was foil found. But it was foil that they reported that couldn't be cut, wrinkled, or burned. And that makes sense because anytime I find foil in the street, I try and destroy it. Like, I don't know why these guys decided to just, dominate this foil, but it was to no avail.
You never have that desire to just grab a thin, pristine piece of tinfoil and just crumble it up into a ball?
I never had a desire to just ward over the aluminum foil.
Some people just like to watch the world burn, John.
I guess so. And foil's only the beginning. It's only the beginning of the story. But that's where Proctor, his neighbor, leaves the story. He refused to ever give an interview. Ever. Even up to his death in 2006. And honestly, there's not really much else known about him.
That's suspicious.
Not a fancy man. If that's suspicious, just it gets much more suspicious. Now, Brazel, he decided to gather up some debris. Not all of it. And he took it to the sheriff in Roswell. He just wanted to get some answers.
Mm-hmm.
What is this stuff? Now, the sheriff's name was George Wilcox, and he didn't take him all that serious. And the part that he did take him serious, he was just kind of stumped. He didn't know what to do. So the only thing he thought to do was contact Major Jesse Marcel at the RAAF. Higher government, because that's what we need is more government.
And you said Roswell Army, what was it?
Airfield.
Army Airfield.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a predecessor to the Air Force.
Okay.
Like I said, it was a pilot school when it opened up.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Major Jesse Marcel, he accompanied Wilcox and Brazel back to the ranch to investigate the site of the crash. And Marcel was actually the one responsible for the original headline about the RAAF capturing a flying saucer on the ranch.
Did he give a statement?
Well, he was quoted as saying that.
Okay.
Now, the military, doing what they do, they collected up the debris. And very quickly, might I add, through a series of communications, the debris was flown to a military base in Fort Worth, Texas, by orders of a man named General Roger Ramey. And they did that day. From the timelines I could find, that happened immediately. They found it, inspected a little bit, boom, send it out. What is it? Now, while there, and you know what? For my conspiracy theory friends, I will add suspiciously. Warrant Officer Irving Newton identified the object as being a weather balloon. That's a story we've heard time and time again. It's a weather balloon. And later that day, on July 9th, 1947, General Ramey held a press conference with the debris present, allegedly, because there's always going to be stories. It's so convoluted.
Yeah.
But I heard there was a box of debris brought in, and then taken out, and another box was brought in. The old switcheroo.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he held a press conference and just essentially explained it was a weather balloon. Lieutenant Walter Hott was the public relations officer at RAF, and he actually issued both press releases. Yeah. So, and this is where it gets kind of funky. Apparently a local radio station, KGFL, they quickly got Brazel to give an exclusive interview to them.
Okay.
But before it could air, Brazel was taken into custody by military police. And KGFL was threatened to be shut down if they aired it. Now, although Brazel was released after only a few hours, the interview never aired. He came back to KGFL, where he recanted his story and told the quote-unquote truth. Yeah. And on July 9th, 1947, the Roswell Daily Record reported that harassed rancher who located saucer sorry he told about it. And then with a few days, the story pretty much died. That was it. I'm sure there were local, whispers among the community, but it wasn't really the information spreading capabilities we have anywhere near today.
Yeah, and it's also you said 47?
Yeah, 1947.
It's 47, and there's zero chance to cycle the news cycle, so to speak.
Yeah, they're not tweeting about it.
No, that shit's gonna stay on. Did you hear Jimmy down the street over there has a flying saucer? Yeah, one crash. That's not going away.
Yeah, he took a selfie with it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Now, after the story died, it lay dormant for many years, and here is where we enter Stanton Friedman. He was a ufologist. Actually, he started out as a nuclear physicist, like his pre-Roswell fame, and he had to be fairly good at it. He did it for 14 years, and he did it with big companies. Just a couple of them, like GM, GE, Westinghouse, another Pittsburgh connection.
Yeah.
Actually, when he was at Westinghouse, he created a UFO call-in line. So, there you go, Pittsburgh. We're on the map finally.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I know a guy who works at Westinghouse, and I'm surprised they let that fly. From the stories he tells me, they're pretty locked up.
Well, you gotta think this is in the late 60s.
That's true.
Policy is drastically changed.
Yeah.
And he developed an interest in UFOs in 1958, roughly 2 years after he got his master's. But he developed this interest just on a whim. Like somebody handed him a book about UFOs, and he fell in love with it. It was love at first sight. After that, he went to the library, checked out as many books as he could, and read and read and read. In 1967, he started on the lecture circuit. And with the timeline, I was honestly assuming he'd quit in 1970, with how many years he worked at it, because the speaking engagements became profitable. I can't confirm that. I do know, though, in 1969, he was laid off. And I don't necessarily think that means fired.
Yeah.
Especially in those types of jobs. But at that point, I feel like maybe he refocused on UFOs, because that was the last time he worked as a nuclear physicist.
Oh, so you think he pulled the lead singer of Blink-182?
Well, it's kind of like...
quit the band and went to research
It's kind of like
UFOs?
if you're being a stand-up, and you're getting a little bit of success, you're going places, but then you got this job. So you got to make the next step. What are you going to do? Are you going to quit that job and try and follow your dreams? Or are you going to let it hold you back? I think that's what he did. He was pursuing it for a couple of years, got the opportunity, and said to hell with it, and took off. And honestly, as far as I can tell, he's the real deal as far as like believing the things he said. He's not like, I've watched a ton of interviews, read a lot about this guy. He didn't really even come off as malicious. The more I read about him, the more I actually started to like him.
Yeah.
And honestly, there's a ton of Roswell information out there. There's a ton of investigators. I chose to pick, as he's quoted as being the first civilian investigator, he turned it into a 30-plus year career.
Jeez.
So I decided to focus on him and his work.
Yeah, he's got the time.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, he's the real deal to me. He's lectured all over the U.S., Canada, and 18 other countries, and most of this information is coming directly from his personal website. So if the information I say about this is wrong, you can blame him. He's published 90 UFO papers, and he's had hundreds of interviews on TV and radio. Now, he passed away in 2019, so he won't be able to come on the show, unfortunately.
Not with that attitude. Let's get a Ouija board in here.
I do have a medium coming in.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah, I believe next week.
Ah, there you go.
If I'm correct.
Should be fun.
He did, however, receive a Lifetime UFO Achievement Award.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in 2002 by UFO Magazine of the UK. Now, like I said, he had just happened to stumble in Roswell. He wasn't looking for it. In 1978, he was in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, to promote a lecture and do 3 interviews. But the third interviewer never showed up. Yeah, and he just so happened to be talking to a station manager. Just making small talk. The station manager knew a little bit about what he was interested in, and he brought up Major Jesse Marcel. He said, this is the guy you should speak to. Soon after, he contacted Marcel, and over a decade-long investigation ensued. There is a lot of information that Jesse Marcel gives. However, he is a person with less than good credibility. He's lied about his service record. He's lied about combat. He's lied about many things, and his story has changed a number of times. So just keep that in mind, because he was a prominent person in his book. And I tried to find out more information about Roswell from 1948 to 1978, because that's a big gap.
Yeah.
What's going on there? And the only thing I could find was that Walker Air Force Base, as it was named now, was decommissioned in June of 1967. That's literally the only thing I found out. And according to Roswell's official government website, they said the town needed to reinvent itself. So that makes me wonder, is that when UFO mania, is what I'll call it, started down there? Or was that...
You think it's rebranding?
That's what I'm wondering. I couldn't find out a lot of information at all, but I really feel like that closing was the cusp of them, okay, we need a new hook. We need a gimmick. And
then the aliens landed. Is that what you're saying?
No, the crash happened before. When that closed in 1967, they say they needed to reinvent themselves. I'm wondering, is that they're like, when they decided, okay, now we're the site of the alien crash, that's what we are, that's what we're going to be known for.
Yeah.
If anybody from Roswell, or anybody that knows about Roswell, happens to be listening to this, please reach out. Let me know. If I'm wrong on something, correct me.
That's what's awesome about talking about this stuff on the internet. If you don't lead with, well, according to this person, or supposedly, or allegedly, some prick will poke up. Tell you.
They say the quickest way online to get the right answer is to put the wrong one on there.
Yep, post the wrong one.
Stanton Friedman, he said he interviewed 92 people for this book that he released in 1992, and it's called Crash at Corona, the U.S. Military Retrieval and Cover-Up of a UFO, which is a strong title.
Yeah.
And I get it. You interviewed a bunch of people, but there was a lot of time between then. Mm-hmm. There was 30 years between the crash and the beginning of the interviews.
Yeah. Yeah, it was already a long time.
And then there was only 5 to 7 of the witnesses were first-hand witnesses. You know what I mean? Actually was there, saw something, had a first-hand account. The rest were either second-hand accounts, which was the majority of them, but there were even third-hand accounts.
Yeah.
My uncle said my brother saw this. My cousin's wife, one saw, just a bunch of stories.
Stats at that point.
And that game you play in elementary school where one person whispers in your ear a sentence?
Telephone game.
I feel like with a small town like that, where it's either you work for the Army or you're on meth, the telephone game is going to come into play. Hey, he found a crashed weather balloon. Oh, all of a sudden, the aliens were invading, but he stopped it. Whatever stories, but a third-person account to me is never reliable. That's like if you watch the news and tell me the news, and then I try and explain the news to someone else. Yeah. It is going to get convoluted.
It's going to get broken.
Oh, it's going to be a mess. Now, there's something I want to add to this, because in the original reports, there were no mentions of alien bodies of any type.
Okay.
And you think that's a big thing. That would be mentioned, especially before it got under control. They would mention alien bodies, but I could not find anywhere where aliens were brought up specifically as like cadavers.
Yeah.
In the original thing. But in 1989, local undertaker Glenn Dennis, remember that name, Glenn Dennis.
Not Glenn Dennis.
Not Glenn Dennis.
Damn.
Claimed that he was contacted by the authorities in 1947 and asked about child-sized coffins. Yeah, in regards to bodies recovered. Nonsense.
Weird.
In 2005, a letter was introduced to be read after his death. And remember Lieutenant Walter Hott?
Yeah.
He claimed that alien bodies were recovered at the crash site as well.
Okay.
Which is weird. It's just...
that would be the first thing they'd cover.
Yeah,
up.
I really think that would be the first thing they would talk about.
Well, if they're saying that bodies were found and they're right, then there would have... that would make sense, because in my opinion, the first thing the government's going to do is drag away any biological tissue that doesn't look human. Because even an exotic metal we've never seen before, as long as it looks kind of metal, you can be like, oh, that was a weather balloon, something we did. But you can't write off little green men. You know what I mean? So that would be the first thing that they're going to get their hands on.
Especially because they had like freedom to say whatever they want because no one knew but them.
Yeah,
they discovered it, and I mean, if there was bodies, they would have mentioned bodies somewhere.
Yeah, you have to think that. Well, how far into the debris did the? Oh, they said the farmers collected debris.
Yeah, they were all over it.
They wouldn't. It's not like they shied away from it.
Yeah,
and
they
found
didn't
bodies
miss
inside.
anything.
No, yeah, they.
You know what? In 1995, too, Vinny, an alien autopsy film was released by a man named Ray Santilli. He had apparently received it from a retired military cameraman who happened to wish to remain anonymous. I'm doing air quotes when I say that. Now, here's the kicker. In 2006, he admitted it was fake. But he didn't admit it was fake, if that makes any sense. What he actually said in 2006, it's not the original footage, but the recreation of a film he saw in 1992. So It's like, here, I just ate my foot. I'm going to stick the other one up my ass. And honestly, all that is why I'm calling hogwash on the alien bodies.
Yeah, that's like, shoot, I forget the name of the old-ass show. Never mind.
That old-ass show we all like.
Yeah.
It's just like that old-ass show.
Sometimes shit falls out of my mouth when I should just keep it shut.
Oh, boy.
Where are we at on that? Should I keep that to
No, just keep it going.
Okay.
Just keep it going.
I stopped myself earlier in the podcast from saying, like, a swear.
You can.
I didn't want to.
Fuck, Vinny, you can swear if you like.
Yikes.
I mean,
my ears.
I'm trying not to say it every other word.
Yeah, no, yeah, you don't want to sound dumb.
If you feel the need to say it, by all means, this is a free speech environment.
Fair enough. I don't know why I expected anything else.
I wouldn't bring you on if I felt I had to censor you. Fair
enough. You know who I am.
Yeah. I hope you guys know who he is, too. If not, you're not missing much. No, Vinny's a great guy. We're going to go back to Stanton Friedman now.
Okay.
He was convinced that it was an extraterrestrial crash and that it was covered up by the United States government. And honestly, he took that with him to the grave. Like, I couldn't find anything where he budged at all. And he seemed like he had so much faith in the things he was saying. Like, that's why I liked him.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if I didn't believe him, I would never disrespect him just for his passion of it.
I got you.
Yeah, I would, okay, we might disagree. And honestly, I was watching one interview with him, and he said something quite profound that I thought, as far as the UFO investigation. A host had asked him, what do you say to the people that say aliens don't exist, they're not real, and you're not going to convince me? He said, I am not trying to convince the extremists. They are not who I'm talking to. I'm talking to the guy who's on the fence. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I want to present him with information for him to make an informed decision. And honestly, that right there was amazing.
Yeah.
We live in a culture a lot of times that if you disagree with someone, you have trouble with them now.
They're the enemy.
Yeah, which it shouldn't be the case. Now, there's obviously a lot that happened between now and then. A lot that's been explored, a lot of interviews. And in 1994, the Office of the Secretary of the Air Force released the Roswell report. Are you aware of this?
I remember hearing about it, but I didn't actually.
It's just a 1,000-page document.
Mm-hmm.
I read through a lot of it.
Okay.
It is a difficult read. Oh my Lord! So much government jargon.
Alphabet
chain of command. I don't give a fuck what happened down there. We don't give a shit what lieutenant gave it to who. I don't care about none of that. Just give me the fucking report. And it was on a PDF. but like an old PDF where they didn't type it new. It was just like almost slides of the original typing of the typewriter shit, and that made it even harder. It's like, this is miserable.
Yeah,
it's boring to look at. It's boring to read.
Well, kudos for getting through it, man.
I didn't get through the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
I read as much as I could without killing myself, and I just kept it moving. Now, they credit the wreckage to a balloon research project named Project Mogul. Have you heard of this at all?
No.
Project Mogul was a secret operation by the U.S. Army Air Force. It was to detect Soviet atomic bomb testing. It ran from 1947 to 1949, and it was for long-range detection of sound waves generated by nuclear detonations. Yeah, it makes sense to me, too. You know, it's just before the Cold War. It's post-World War II. The Soviets were still a couple years away from having nuclear technology down pat. Why wouldn't we monitor them? And then if we're monitoring them secretly, we can't tell that to the public.
Yeah.
So I understand them there. Yeah. That wasn't all, though. That was not all. In 1997, the U.S. Air Force released the Roswell Report, Case Closed, which sounds like a badass sequel to me.
It sounds like the sequel to a trilogy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's going to be one more after this one.
Liam Neeson in the Roswell Report, Case Closed. Yeah, and that was much smaller. It was a 231-page report, and it actually stated that there was no Pentagon evidence of any kind of life form was found at the Roswell area at the 47 crash.
Yeah.
Now, and the bodies, this is where it gets weird, because they say the bodies recovered were dummies used in parachute tests. Now, this is where I get really confused, because there was never any initial reports of bodies. Now, they were using dummies to test different things in the air, different weather balloons, see how they fell, all that. And I wanna lean towards this was just them covering their ass. Like, look, if you did find any bodies, they were dummies.
Yeah.
You know, like, because why else would you say it? Like, you didn't even need to do a sequel.
Yeah.
Like, you had a good standalone film in that first one. Boom, bop, we're bringing the original cast back, motherfuckers, case closed.
Yeah. And,
you know?
And now you double-stepped, you faltered. You recanted on what you said. If you just kept your mouth shut, people would have just been like, no, that's what it was.
I feel like case closed should be looked at as non-canonical. Yeah, it was a one-shot.
Disney the shit out of that. Just write that right out of canon.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious. Honestly, that's pretty much it. Like it. I feel like the government explained what it was with a legitimate answer. You know, sometimes people don't want to believe the truth. Sometimes truth is just truth. And today, UFOs are ingrained in Roswell's community. You know, it's host to an annual UFO festival. Mm-hmm. And among other things, is home to the International UFO Museum and Research Center, which opened in 1991 by a man named Glenn Dennis.
Glenn Dennis is back.
Yeah. Glenn Dennis, the man who first reported aliens in 1989, who was an undertaker, decided 2 years later to open a fucking museum. That doesn't sound like you have a narrative to push.
No, I think it's all on the up and up. This is 2020. Yeah, that's on the up and up.
Yeah. Honestly, though, as far as the question, did a alien crash land in Roswell? The best answer I can give you is I don't think so, but I don't know.
Yeah. Do you know anything about Bob Lazar?
No, I'm not familiar with Bob Lazar. Like I said, I focused mainly on Stanton Friedman.
Yeah. No, it's just a good supplemental story, I think. It's a first-hand account of a guy who claims to have worked on alien technology.
Oh.
And the shocking and most jarring thing for me wasn't what he was saying, but how he was saying it. It was like a scientist was sitting there trying to explain to me something scientific. Like he was using terms that made sense. He was
See, that's the best way. And I'm not discrediting him. I know. But that's the best way to fake it.
Exactly.
Go up there, say some industry terms. Okay, this guy's cool. He knows what he's talking about.
That's how I get by professionally.
Yeah, I have bullshitted my way through life. Just learn a few words.
That's why we're comics.
Somehow I'm on a podcast. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Roswell, Vinny? You think there was a crash there?
No, honestly, I think one of two things occurred. We stumbled upon an ancient civilization that lived on this earth that was either human or otherwise that had advanced technology that we were unaware of.
That took a left turn.
Right? Yeah.
That took a hard left.
Two things lead me to think that. Now, these are all people who, if you look at the science industry, they kind of look down on these people.
Okay.
But if you look at the science community during Galileo's time, they look down on him too. Well, the science of the church, but
that's fair enough.
That's besides the point. That's not the point I'm getting at. But
everyone's wrong until they prove they're right.
Yeah. But he claims that they had access to a gravity manipulation device.
Okay. Which is what a lot of people believe is how alien crafts fly.
That would be one of the only ways to, quote unquote, violate the speed of light.
Okay.
Well, because you're technically not. That you're inside a gravity bubble that's traveling at relative speed, but
you've obviously never seen me have sex.
That's just a
Badoom-tsh.
That's just the binary star system.
Okay.
See, I can sound smart too.
Oh, there you go. See,
I'm not smart though because I just fucked up Las Vegas or Nevada and New Mexico.
Then tell the people where they can find you online.
You can find me hiding in any social media cave, like any hermit. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, but I need to be more active.
Well, give your name.
Oh shit! And
they're going to need spelling for the last part.
Yeah, I know, right? I need to know my own shit. At V Palatucci on Facebook and at I think it's Vinny Palatucci on Instagram.
Okay. You got anything coming up? Anything you want to promote?
No, I'm just hoping we can get back into the swing of things soon.
Yeah, let's hope we can do that.
Yeah, going green. So baby steps.
Thank you very much for coming on today, Vinny. I appreciate it. Folks, that's pretty much it for our first episode. You can catch us on Facebook.com/Inquisitive Minds Podcast. It's spelled INQUIZATIVE. It's spelled a little different. You should also catch me at Facebook, JohnnySmith.com, or Facebook.com/TunaCanJohn, and at Instagram, at PandaSmith287. Feel free to reach out, email, message, anything you'd like to hear discussed, any critiques. I'm just new at this, guys. I'm learning with you. I hope you liked it. Let me know your thoughts. And that's going to be it. Have a good night.